Do not settle for a life that does not belong to you. Uncover and activate your fullest potential in this lifetime. Live your greatest life experience.
This is the Full Potential Living Podcast with Coach Eric Ferguson.
Full Potential Living fam, thank you so much for tuning in to this podcast, to this episode. Before you listen, I want to give you guys just a quick overview of what you can expect, very quick, and why you should stay for the whole video. What is the value? What are the benefits that we're trying to provide for you at Full Potential Living? So first of all, stay throughout the whole podcast episode because you're going to discover a couple things. One wild brain hack almost nobody talks about for sleep. Excellent brain hack that my friend Drayke, Buff Biohacker, talks about. So make sure you tune in for that. Number two is learn how to build your own cognitive performance stack. We're going to talk about some beginner stuff. We're going to talk about some advanced stuff and everything in between. So you can build your own cognitive performance stack because that's what a lot of this is about. And then number three is a powerful transformational story, not only from Drayke, but also a young woman that he healed after years of medical gaslighting near the end. So many other things we talk about as well, like peptides for deeper sleep, CJC 1295, Ipamorelin, if I'm saying that right, Ipatalon, DCIP, longevity hacks for decalcifying your pineal gland, the PBO system, the Braverman test for neurotransmitter balance, dopamine management and ADHD misconceptions, smart nootropic cycling, brain training tools, even things like cursive writing for neuroplasticity. All right. So this is going to be an awesome episode. Make sure to tune in. Make sure to like, subscribe. If you like these podcasts, if you like the daily videos, make sure you like, subscribe to the YouTube channel or follow on Spotify so that you can get that ding notification whenever we release videos. Hey, sending you lots of love, light, abundance, and I hope you enjoy this episode. One, cheers. Hello and welcome to the Full Potential Living Podcast, where our mission is to wake up the human race, one individual, yes, you listening at a time, to self-actualize and live your fullest potential in life. Today, we're going deep into cognitive performance optimization so that you can master your craft significantly faster. Today, we got a special guest and good friend, Drayke, the Buff Biohacker, manager at Upgraded Labs in Austin, Texas, functional medicine coach, health optimization specialist of Biohacked Health, joins us today to challenge the status quo of disease management. He's on a mission to tackle chronic issues at their root so you can live a stronger, longer, and symptom-free full potential life. Drayke.
Ahoy there.
Welcome. Welcome to the podcast, man.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, me too. I'm pumped to hear some of these cognitive performance optimization hacks. Well, first of all, it was awesome to, meet you here in Austin. What was that? Like a month ago now, 2 months ago.
Yeah, just by serendipitous as well. Like, I'm only at Kuya like once, maybe a month, and I just happened to run into you that day.
Literally once a month at Kuya. That is wild. And we happened to be there for like 1 or 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Got a deadlift in.
We did. I love that.
Solid deadlift. I've been going once a week now, getting back into the routine. So going to start pushing the limits on that. But
I was sore for like 3 days after that session.
Me too. It had been a while. But yeah, for the audience out there, I am so excited. I think this is something that I'm learning more and more and more. Like we had Dr. Rossner on, of just diving so far into health and longevity and cognitive performance, muscle performance, everything, health and optimization. It's so exciting. And I know the audience is excited to hear about all the knowledge in between your ears today that you can share.
I was saying, I'm so glad like you're able to talk to Dr. Rosner. He seemed so amazing from that speech.
Yeah.
Like so smart.
Yeah. And such a cool guy too. Like just down to earth. Like, yeah. He's just like when he was speaking, he just seemed like he was incredibly respectful and he was very knowledgeable. And then it was funny because like once we started talking after he was speaking, he was just like cracking jokes like left and right, just like a totally different demeanor he had, which was really funny. But yeah, man. So what's new and exciting in your life today?
What is new today? So many things. I've been implementing my own cognitive performance stacks for a while, and it feels like every day I'm learning a whole bunch of new things. Like one of my things that I do as like a meditation almost is just like go through like research papers because I just find it super calming. I was literally doing that before we came in here today. I was just like, let me just go through this real quick. Just because like it kind of like steadies my mind. I think of it as like when I'm in the gym lifting something real heavy, my mind's focused on the task at hand. So then like I'll grab something to read that's a bit more scientific. So like I need to pay attention to it just so like I can focus. Like kind of drowns out the noise. So for me, it's being able to do something like that. And so what I was learning about was called the parasympathetic beta oxidative system in the body.
Wow.
I know it's a mouthful. Also,
Can you say that one more time? Parasympathetic oxidative.
Parasympathetic beta oxidation pathways in the body. It's a whole system. It is how our body utilizes different fuel substrates, primarily using the Krebs cycle and carnitine and going through the whole list. I don't want to go super nerdy into all of that, but
we can get there.
It is super fascinating. And it's something that I was just diving more into because it is something I am implementing with a lot more of my clients. Because if you increase your, I'm just going to call it PBO system, because the other way it's a mouthful. You increase your body's ability to utilize all of its nutrients, increase the absorption of like supplements you're taking. So you'll know some people like they can take a whole bunch of like a supplement and not feel anything, and other people are super sensitive to it.
Yeah.
There are some theories it has partially to do with that system and just how effective your body is at partitioning nutrients and supplements and medications. So there are ways to improve that whole system throughout your body.
Wow.
Fascinating.
So essentially like the ability to absorb the nutrients?
The ability to utilize the nutrients.
Utilize the nutrients. Okay. Through that system. Through optimizing that system in the body. Okay. Well, wow. I will love to hear more about that. But I always like to lay the foundation of the conversation for the listeners to get to know you a little bit. And so I know you had some serious health challenges going on like early in your life. Can you tell people about like what you went through and what you overcame?
Yeah, it was, looking back on it now, like I just don't think about it, but
yeah,
there were.
It was another life.
It is. It feels like it's it feels like it happened to a different human. Like it doesn't even feel like it was me anymore at this point. Because I feel so drastically different than that person I used to be. So in high school, played all the sports, sucked at all the sports, but I still played them because I just like being active, did all the things. And at like 16, after playing these sports, I was finding that my back was hurting. And I didn't know why. Ended up getting MRI done, X-ray, diagnosed.
Lower back, upper back?
Lower back.
Lower back.
All the time. The MRI showed that I had dextroscoliosis. So like my back was kind of like S-shaped, misshapen. So this was really messing with my musculature. So every time I would engage my core or do those flutter kicks that all of my coaches in high school would have me do, it's just like my back was just tight. I couldn't, like I almost couldn't walk for like 30 seconds afterwards. I was just like so much pain. And when I was diagnosed with the scoliosis, the chiropractor was like, oh, you're going to eventually need surgery, rods and pins. It's just going to get worse as you get older. Second opinion from a medical doctor was like, yeah, that's pretty much the case. There's not really anything you can do about it.
Oh my God. And
the more sports you play, the more physical activity you do, it's just the worse it's going to get. So it's like, cool. I mean, I stopped all the sports, but I enjoyed being outside and doing things, but I guess that's over. As amazing as that sounds, that was probably the start of a little over a decade's worth of depression from like 16, a little bit longer. I know initially the depression was most likely just because, I wasn't out and doing all that fun activities anymore. But then, it kind of evolved because I wasn't getting sunlight. I wasn't being physical and I wasn't in these teams anymore. So like three main things. I was lacking sunlight, I was lacking movement, and I was lacking my community. And that just kind of spiraled into long-standing depression that was treatment resistant. I was diagnosed with multiple depression medications and never did anything for me.
So you were taking medications for an extended period of time?
Not super extended, because after like several months of taking any one of them, I was like, I'm not taking this anymore. Like,
yeah, it just wasn't working.
Yeah. I'm like, don't just keep upping the dosage on me. Not just gonna go numb to the world. Don't want that.
Yeah, right.
And super dark place at the time. I remember thinking, I was like, you know what? If I don't wake up tomorrow, that's fine.
Wow.
No.
Wow.
And like I said, that doesn't feel like me anymore. Like,
totally different person. Like, it literally feels like that. That's wild.
now every night I'm just like, man, I don't want to go to sleep because there's so many things I want to do.
Yeah, same. Well, that's an amazing place to be. And I think that is part of the full potential living vision, is to like help people find that type of a life where they're doing what they love and they just want to max it out because they're so excited and they're loving what they're doing so much. Because that's something I've experienced in my life, is I just love what I'm doing. And I want everybody to feel that, it's like, I want everybody to feel how exciting life can actually be when you're living your full potential and you're doing what's true for you, what is most authentic and best for you. So I appreciate you doing that, man. Wow, 10 years of that, going through that. But then you came out on the other side. So what nudged you towards, biohacking after 10 years, or were you looking into that the whole way?
I've always had a bit of a obsessive personality. Like I can't and I won't ever look into how many hours I spent playing video games ever. It's way too high up there in my early 20s and teenage years. But I've just always had that thing where I'm just like, I like to obsess over things. I like to just get in deep into something. And so I started listening. I used to be a truck driver. So I did that for 5 years, driving truck. And I was listening to just podcast after podcast after podcast.
Yeah.
Of course, listening to Joe Rogan back in the day. Yeah. And he'd have these guests on that were in like the health and wellness field. And they'd be talking about these different things. And I even have like this whole timeline because of how much it changed my life. I always remember it. Joe Rogan had Dr. Rhonda Patrick on, and then Rhonda was like still new for her internet fame. So I was just listening to her, and I loved her. She didn't have a whole lot of stuff out yet. So I was looking into other people that are like her in that field. And I found The Genius Life with Max Lugavere and started listening to all of his podcasts. And he had some amazing, incredible people on there. And he had Paul Saladino on there, who's like, love him. And I love that he's scaled back his personality a little bit. He's not as extreme into carnivore anymore. Because carnivore never resonated with me. Animal-based did, which is just including more like honey and fruit into your diet. Just because like keto it's never worked for me. Like I can't go zero carb. Like I start looking sickly. I lose too much weight. My body just does not respond to it.
Wow. So the podcast game got you into it. And so how did you end up overcoming that serious issue? How did you overcome that?
Mushrooms.
Is that right?
Yes, I'm always upfront about this. It was a catalyst. Now, I was never one to just go and take mushrooms and go to a party. I was very intentional behind it.
Yeah.
Because I'd always noticed if I took mushrooms for like a month or so, like my depression was gone. Like I was just like more energetic, more willing to go do things. Like I was just, more present with life. So I was like, you know what? I'm at this point where like, I don't want to wake up tomorrow. So if I don't want to live, what's the harm in just going super heavy into mushrooms and trying some new shit?
Yeah.
So,
nothing to lose.
Yeah. Did a heroic dose of mushrooms. And then I spent the next month focusing on my diet, cleaning it up, learning from Paul Saladino about like reducing inflammation, neural inflammation especially. And that was a big thing for me. It was like, because I'd done mushrooms about a month and then depression would slowly creep back in. I changed up my diet after using the mushrooms to get me into that state. And afterwards, it was like 3, 4, 5 months later, it was just like, my depression has come back. I'm cool every day. Every day I'm like pretty happy, chill. Like life's not bad. It's like the dark thoughts started going away. And I was like, what is going on? So I just started digging more into it. Yeah. Right. If diet can do this for me, what else can I do? What else? Like was I lied to about? Because as I started changing up my diet, my depression went away and I was just given medications for years. Now I don't take any of those medications. Now I feel great. I love life. And all of it due to diet. And I was just so, I would say for like a year, I was just angry with the medical system. I was like, no one told me this. No one told me, hey, cut out the shitty processed foods, wheat, anything with gluten, seed oils, and you can just be happier that way.
Yeah.
Like legit.
Game changer. Just cut out the crap and you feel a lot better. Yeah. So that's how your health started to change. And your back just improved as well with lifting, is like deadlifting and stuff.
Sort of. So I still had the back problems with lifting. I started lifting maybe like a year before I got into like animal based, and I was still having the back pains. It was kind of like a daily thing. And then I changed up my diet, my inflammation went down, and I didn't have as much back pain anymore. So I was feeling much better, but it would still tweak really easily. And I started diving deep into how to exercise properly for those muscles in that area. So I started doing that. I started doing like hyperwise. I started doing reverse hypers, just really strengthening my whole spinae erecta, like all the lower back muscles. And I just started deadlifting. I started doing all the things. And now, again, I deadlift well over double my body weight. I squat. I can put up some serious weights. And I used to not be able to do that. And I was told by medical doctors that if I did that, I was going to need surgery sooner than later. And now I love moving. Like I do cartwheels. Just like I play with my daughter. It's so much fun that I can just have full freedom and autonomy of my body after doctors told me that wasn't going to be possible.
Yeah. Wow. That's totally transformative. Literally a new person you are by changing some of the most fundamental things, cutting out things, most importantly, it sounds like. And then you had, so if anybody has like back pain, like lower back pain or back pain at all out there, they need to strengthen the small little muscles in that area to let the back pain go away.
I don't want to give like a blanket statement for that. Scoliosis is due to the muscles being imbalanced and like long-term muscle imbalance. I've also always had like some like weird hip issues. So I walk a little weird, which is probably what caused those muscle imbalances. And so like it was trial and error to figure out how to fix my back. I mean, now I have a whole bunch of other techniques that I wish I'd known back then that would have got me through there way faster. I want to shout out Foundations by Dr. Eric Goodman. If you have back pain, that man is like amazing. Any of his stuff on YouTube. Yeah.
I love that word. What do you feel like are some of the biggest problems? I mean, I personally, I love the idea of MAHA, make America healthy again. It's like about time that we take control of our food systems and start to cut out this stuff that is clearly causing cancer and causing chronic issues for like the average person. I mean, I've said this on the show before, but it's like I've been to Europe a few times, and every time I go, I can eat bread and cheese and not have any problems at all. Like not all the time, but I can taste it, and I can eat anything. And it's not something I ever have to worry about. But when I come back to the States, I'm like, I can't eat this stuff. And it's like the regulations are totally different. So this was years ago. I started going, wait a second, what's going on with wheat? What's going on with soil? And started to look into this. And I just feel like it's about time that we do something about this. You know what I mean? Like even I have so many friends from Europe that are like, yeah, if I go to the United States, like watch out. Like we've got to be careful. Like we don't want to be known for that, Like we need people that are growing up healthy. So it's about time, America. But like, what do you feel like are some of the biggest problems, the biggest challenges that we're facing, America is facing in the health world right now?
That it's all so ingrained into our society. The whole MAHA movement, I don't think he's doing enough. And he's doing a lot, and I don't think he's doing enough.
Yeah.
It throws me so much for a loop when I see like other influencers online bashing the FDA banning red dye. And I'm like, they're like, why not just focus on obesity? I'm like, it's one thing. And obesity is such a complicated epidemic. I'm like, this is so wild that you're just focusing on bashing this one thing.
Yeah. Baby steps.
And when I say ingrained in society, it's not just these giant corporations are only doing this for a profit. It's that these giant corporations have instilled this marketing message, potentially psyop, into American society that their foods are good for you. They're not the problem. Just keep eating it. They've become so good at effective messaging and marketing, they've kind of brainwashed so many people into just thinking like, oh, these aren't an issue. This isn't an issue. It also comes back to like, there's other certain things that like work for people that don't work for everyone, but it works for a lot of people. So they use those people as the example, like calories in, calories out. That's how you lose weight. That's how bodybuilders lose weight, I guess. And it works if we're steam engines. Just you put in X amount of calories, X amount of calories, that's it.
Comparing our bodies to machines is also a big theme of like coming from the industrial age, you know, and not understanding the full dynamic of the human body. It's not a machine.
I mean, I would say it is a machine, just one of the most complex machines on earth, and we don't fully understand it. So like America's so ingrained like with all these health things. It's like go in any grocery store, you'll see, well, this thing's heart healthy, this thing is all like healthy for
the marketing.
I mean, I'm still upset about the low fat fad of the 90s and early 2000s, because like that's what my mom did for the longest time. I remember low fat cottage cheese, so gross. Low fat milk.
Oh man. Yeah.
One of my favorite quotes, if you've ever seen the show Parks and Rec, Ron Swanson says it's two things he hates the most: liars and skim milk, which is just water lying about being milk.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah. So what you're essentially saying is like the marketing piece is one of the biggest issues, and it's so deeply ingrained. And I think about the labels so much. Like I remember when I was 22, I guess I just picked it up. Like somehow I just knew to just turn over the label like immediately. Like when I was training as an athlete, I never believed in just like looking at the label, because they could put anything on the front. You have to look at even like the back label, like you have to just look at the ingredients. What's actually in this thing? And for me, it was like, if I don't understand anything about this, if there's something in there I don't understand, I'm not going to buy it. And that was like my strategy. And that definitely has kept me at an optimal health level. But the problem is that everything on the front says such a positive, you know, heart healthy, you know, all these different marketing gimmicks. But you have to look what's inside. When there's a bunch of sugar that's actually put inside, you know, it's not healthy. So that is certainly an issue that I understand as well.
I wish that was even the most nefarious thing that they do, but I hate going shopping with my 7-year-old, because these big corporations, Kellogg's, all of them, they have co-opted YouTube, like children's YouTube personalities, and they put them as like a face on a cereal box, a brightly colored cereal box. And so like my daughter will go there, and I remember it was like last year, she was like, oh, there's a JoJo Siwa cereal. I want this one because it's got JoJo Siwa. Like, no, we're not.
Absolutely
we're not buying
not.
this trash. But like they co-opted like these really famous like children YouTube personalities. And I'm not going to get into the whole children shouldn't be watching YouTube, because like I'm still guilty of letting my daughter watch that on occasion. But I mean, the marketing, and it's so nefarious now, for like, because they're grabbing them at a young age.
Yeah.
It's not just like while they're developing. So like her taste buds haven't fully developed. She doesn't know these things. Like prior to like 1950s, never would a small child have been like exposed to these super sweet anything. The artificial sweeteners didn't exist.
100%. Yeah. So how do we take back our health, and where does your work and biohacking really come into that?
I think it starts in the brain. Biohack your brain.
Biohack your brain.
Nootropics. Yes. Because I think the biggest issue with all the healthy things is that it's almost an overwhelm of things you should do. It's mentally fatiguing for people. As a coach, like that's my job. It's like I help people distill this. I distill the information so that way it's actionable for them. But like, if you want to not feel that overwhelm, if you don't want to not have that mental fatigue, make your brain better. Get rid of, like, make it so it doesn't fatigue as easily. Make it so you can read and comprehend so much faster. Just become a genius in your own life.
100%. That's like because, you know, a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about like follistatin and Clotho, and Dr. Ryan Rossner was so excited about Clotho because of the cognitive abilities of like the cognitive possibilities of what that Clotho can do. And like we think about anti-inflammation, you know, muscle growth, these different things, but ultimately, if you can make yourself smarter, I mean, that's where everything could start. So yeah. So why do you think cognitive performance is so important nowadays?
Because society right now, we move past industrial revolution, we move past the technology revolution. Now we're in the attention revolution. Everything is vying for our attention. And how do they do that? They have to stimulate your brain. What's this over there? What's this over there? Like marketing is get their attention. Social media, it's messing with your neurotransmitters. Like dopamine is the number one thing that they're trying to catch.
Yeah.
It is. That's why everything's so fear-based. They dump the adrenaline, gets your attention, or something that makes you laugh, or just is funny, or makes you happy. Dopamine, oxytocin. So we are living in this society that is developing all these things around us to literally drain our neurotransmitters, which are the things that keep us going. They are the things that help us learn, help us comprehend everything. And we're just inundated with so much that's taken from us.
So we're using up a lot of those, dopamine and serotonin in the wrong ways, as opposed to using it to better our life.
It's not even that we're using it in the wrong ways. It's that these are taking so much of our bandwidth, we feel like we don't have enough left to go into the store and be like, oh, why am I eating this thing? Why am I eating that thing? What is actually healthy for me? Oh, this person said it was healthy, so I'm just going to outsource all of my thoughts to this person, even though I'm my own person. I'm a different human being. But this person looks healthy. Let me just listen to them, because they just don't have the bandwidth for it.
Yeah. So if there was like different levels we could go, like different tiers maybe of cognitive performance, if we went from like basic to intermediary to then like advanced, where would you start with people that are listening? They're like, yeah, I want to improve my cognitive performance. I want to learn better. I want to be more productive. Ultimately, I want to have more success in my career, but maybe I also just want to be happier. I want to be healthier. What would be kind of the foundational stuff? And then maybe we can get into the advanced stuff that you were talking about earlier.
This is a fun one. I was trying to get this done, but AI is not always user-friendly. So there's this thing called the Braverman test. It is like a questionnaire. It's like 200 plus questions that you go through, true or false. And as you go through it, you tally your answers, and it tells you like where you could be deficient, or it tells you what neurotransmitters are dominant for you and which ones could be deficient for you. And so you go through this whole test, and then you're like, cool, I'm a dopamine dominant human being, or I'm a GABA dominant, or I'm serotonin dominant. And then you go through that one. It's like, oh, I could be deficient in serotonin, dopamine, glutamate. And so you go through this and you're like, cool, what do I do with this? And so because like you're figuring out which ones you're dominant in, so you might need more supply for that one, which ones you're deficient in. So you might need to correct that deficiency. You can then get a protocol based on that. So like I work with my clients on this. It's all right, cool. You are deficient here. Let's correct that. And so that way that's going to bring your baseline up. And then once we bring your baseline up, even correcting for any deficiency, whether it's neurotransmitter or nutritional deficiency, is life-changing for people. So going into that and correcting for a deficiency, that should be number one. It's just like figuring out where you're deficient in, bringing that to baseline, and you'll see a massive difference in your brain health. And then you can work on the advanced protocols of adding extra to do even more stuff.
Wow. Okay. So first of all, finding out what your deficiencies are. And for people like out there, how could they start to do that? Maybe there are people around the US or even people around the world listening. How can they start to figure out what their deficiencies are? Is there a test they can take online?
There is one. I think you can just Google Braverman test.
Braverman test.
Yeah. I think it's like $20, or you can email me.
Where can they email you?
Drayke at getgreathealth.com. Drayke, Drayke. So yeah, they can take the test. They can see where they're deficient in, and then just come up with a whole game plan. Like, all right, so if you're deficient in GABA, we're going to get you not GABA, because actual oral GABA is very poorly bioavailable. So you work on other things that are precursors to it. If you're deficient in dopamine, you can take saffron extract. If you're deficient in serotonin, you can take... Oh, there's just like such a large list. You can take more fish oil for that one, tryptophan. And then from there, once we get your neurotransmitters balanced, that's when we look at other protocols to bring you above baseline.
Okay. So deficiency, figure out what that is, and that fix kind of the neurotransmitter deficiency, and then baseline. So what's next? So that's kind of getting people out of deficiency. So how are they going to feel, cognitively after they go from down here to that kind of coming to baseline?
I mean, everyone's going to be a little different because everyone's baseline is going to be a little different. And just how deficient were they? But they should just feel like they're more capable of just using their brain. I remember before I started doing all this stuff myself, it was, by the end of the day, I was like, I wanted to like read more things, but like my brain felt like mush. I was just like, I don't feel like reading this. It's not sticking to me. I try to read a page in a book. I go to the next page. I'm like, what did I just read?
Yeah.
It's like, that ever happened to you?
Yeah. Yeah, it totally has.
And now that I started like working on this, it's like, I go through the whole book. I'm like, cool. That was a good book. I didn't skip anything. Like my brain didn't just block it out. It was good.
So you were fully present with the page and just like reading and and intaking that information.
Like after, as I was saying before we started this, I was in front of my computer for 14 hours the other day, and that was rough mentally, but like I probably could have still just done more mentally. No, I needed to move that day. I was done sitting. Like mentally, I wasn't done. Like I was just ready to.
Wild.
I could have kept going.
The body though needs to move so that you can make sure it stays healthy. Okay. So that's kind of getting out of to baseline. Now, after we figure out the deficiencies, what's next to get closer to like doing very well or even thriving?
So I want to preface this with saying that correcting deficiencies, fantastic. That's where we should start. That goes for all across the board. Like if your sleep is shit, these won't work as well for you. If you don't exercise, these won't work as well for you. If you're not getting your sunlight, if you're not doing certain things, if your hormones are whack, these won't work as well for you once you start going to the optimization route. You need to have a solid base of overall health before you can really get much out of the optimization. And when you do that, you'll also notice like people that do work on the fundamentals, they get so much more out of these stacks.
100%.
So when I'm developing these protocols for clients, it's not just supplements. It's not just like, here, take this pill. I have a take and do approach. So anyone that goes to the gym should be semi-familiar with this. You're taking creatine, you're taking your pre-workout, and you're hitting the gym so you can get better pumps, get your muscles stimulated, and then you're taking your post-workout, and then you're doing the active recovery for your body. You can do the same thing with your brain. Don't just take your pre-workout and sit on your couch and just be really fast and anxious. Don't take your nootropics and then just not use your brain. Like it's fast. So what? You're not actively stimulating it. And so, you'll hear all these buzzwords like increase BDNF, increase
brain-derived neurotropic factor.
Yes. There's also NGF, nerve growth factor. So VEGF. And it's just, there's all these things and buzzwords for making your brain smarter and faster.
Okay.
But what's the point of taking them if they're not permanent?
Yeah.
So like I can take all these things. And I'm wrong. Like if I come off of all the supplements, will I not be probably as smart and as present? Most likely. But I've done this and I'm still at a much higher baseline than I was. And also I cycle through these supplements. It's not like an every single day thing. Just like I really believe all supplements, except for very specific nutritional supplements, should be cycled off and on. Like if you've ever cycled off caffeine and then gone back on it, it feels nice. It's like when you're back on it.
Yeah, definitely. I think I need to do that soon. Okay.
And one of my favorite things, like this isn't as hard as people think it is, like to mentally stimulate your brain. I have a game on my phone called Elevate. It just takes you to like little brain training apps or brain training games. And it just takes you through like speaking and diction and eloquency and vocabulary and math. And it's very simple. I spend maybe 10 minutes a day on it. It's just like getting the reps in. Another one is saying multisyllabic words. Like from the research paper I was reading before I came in today, it was nucleic acid. That was a word I was saying back to myself. I'd never heard of it before. But it's just like one of those like big multisyllabic words, nucleic acid. And so I'm saying it's big word, learning it, adding it to my vocabulary, which is another thing you should do is like learn new words to just increase your eloquency and your communication. But also when you say these multisyllabic words, like you're creating this imprint in your brain of just being able to speak big words and speak more eloquently as well.
Yeah. What was it again?
Deoxyribonucleic acid.
Ribonucleic acid. Deoxyribonucleic acid. I remember hearing that, like maybe in my biology class or something.
I might have as well.
Deoxyribonucleic acid. Yeah, I remember that.
So it's just like learning these new things. Now, I will say that's not my vocab of word of the day because I don't quite know what that is. That's a whole nother thing I can talk on, like how to learn things fast is just diving into it. But that's just a big word and I'm going to look it up. But like My word of the day was picaroon, which was a thief or a rogue type, someone that is almost like dishonest, like a pirate.
Okay.
But like, there's all these things you can do to stimulate your brain. Do the thing and take the thing. So take some lion's mane to help stimulate BDNF. You can take extracted sulforaphane, and then you can one of the neatest ones that I've been learning about is cursive writing. That one is really powerful for stimulating the brain. It's like you do all the things, like you take the supplements, and cursive writing stimulates both the logical and artistic side of your brain because it's like artistic as you're flowing through it. But if you're writing out a thoughtful thing, it's like you have to use the logic part as well. So like it's combining art and logic together, and you're actively doing it.
Wow. So it's both sides of the brain. I love that. I remember doing cursive back in the day, but it's probably been since 5th grade since I've done cursive, like most people.
Yes. And I will say that's probably the one I have the most mental resistance to, because I was always the slowest writer. Like just any writing assignment I had to do, it was so painstakingly slow for me. And my brain works fast. So I was like, I hate doing this. But doing that, just like it increases my processing speed.
Okay. So, but what you're saying fundamentally is that people out there, like, we don't need to just take the nootropics, the lion's mane, the chaga, the different nootropics out there that people can take for cognitive performance, but also do the thing. Take the thing and do the thing. You also need to be practicing 10 minutes a day, 20 minutes a day to improve your cognitive performance. Have there been certain clients, or like, what have you noticed for you when you've done that, as far as like learning capacity or, you know, ability to concentrate for longer? Because I also think like the ADHD thing out there, I mean, how much of that is just not training our mind as well, you know, in the right ways? That's maybe a separate topic, but
I can absolutely talk on that too. Because
okay.
Natalie, if you listen to this, I love you. Also, Natalie, the owner of Upgrade Labs, she's just created this team, and it feels like she attracted every single person that has ADHD, which is working with everyone. It feels like I'm herding cats sometimes, but I love everyone I work with. They're amazing humans, and they'll all admit to this as well. But ADHD it's actually, I would say, more of a neurotransmitter problem. It has to do with dopamine.
Okay.
In that reward pathway. ADHD, ooh, new thing. Ooh, new thing. I can't keep focus because there's always a new thing. I can get a reward from here. If I do this, I can do this, I can do this. So one of the fundamental symptoms of anyone who has ADHD is like they start a project and then don't finish it. I mean, I'm plenty guilty of doing that many times.
Yeah. All of us have done that to an extent.
Exactly. And that's dopamine. That's that reward pathway. So what was I talking about earlier? Social media, TV, marketing, messaging, getting your attention, messing with your dopamine. And so like you're constantly seeking that reward, the anticipatory, just, I'm going to have this, I'm going to get this, I'm going to get this. And it's draining your dopamine signals because like you need dopamine to feel that way. And then the more you use, the less you really have of it. So it's just like you feel drained.
Wow. Yeah. So understanding that for each one of us is super important. Okay. What I want to go into is a little bit about, because we kind of like the fundamentals are super important before we get to like super optimization of like really hitting nutrition, sleep. I'm actually very curious about sleep. So much research out there, like all it talks about is we have to prioritize our sleep. Like it's the number one thing, you know, to make sure we're cognitively performing at our best. Why is that? And what can we do to, like, I'm also curious about like putting nootropics or different, supplements around like our sleep. Would that help us sleep better? What are some of the best ways so that we can sleep? Why is it important, and the best ways we can sleep better?
Oh, I love sleep. It's one of my favorite things to do. That's why I do it so often, at least like a third of my life. But yeah, that's such a lengthy topic, but I'll try and keep it as simple as possible.
Yeah.
So while we're sleeping, we have something called the glymphatic system. I think it was discovered in like the 20s, like somewhere around there. It was only so recently discovered because it doesn't activate while you're awake. So the glymphatic system is
Lymphatic?
glymphatic.
Glymphatic. Okay, glymphatic.
Yes, separate. But I think they called it that because like how it works is almost similar to lymphatic. Lymphatic just... there's like a little sac in your brain that emits, produces these cells that go throughout your brain and help to just get rid of any waste buildup. And then it just kind of brings it up, jettisons it out of you. And then I'm not going to go too much into that, but like it's waste removal while you're sleeping.
Okay.
Plus, that's when your body creates growth hormone. Growth hormone, vitally important for growth, as the name implies. It's if you want to get bigger muscles, you need growth hormone. If you want to get bigger in general, growth hormone. If you want to repair your bones, if you want to repair anything, you need growth hormone. And every single day, we are damaged by something. We're damaged by the UV lights. We're damaged by the blue light. We're damaged by the toxins in our air. So we need this growth hormone to help our body repair.
I see.
And so when we repair properly, it lowers our inflammation. And so the less inflammation we have, the more energy overall we are going to have for everything else. And while we're sleeping, it's also when our body starts to create testosterone. That's when every single one of our cells is also in our circadian. So while we're sleeping, some of our cells are sleeping. While we're sleeping, some of our other cells are awake. They're alert. Every cell in our body has a circadian clock that is adjusted to our circadian clock. And I don't want to go too much into our circadian rhythm. I've done so many talks on that one, but it's so important for our overall health to prioritize sleep. And if you want to make your sleep better, it actually starts in the morning. So one of the best things you can do is go outside and get some sunlight in your eyes. So we have this thing behind our eyeballs called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, and that's what kind of regulates our circadian rhythm. So when you go outside and you get that sunlight, you get that full spectrum of wavelengths of light, it triggers this whole cascade of effects throughout your entire body. It's going to start increasing your cortisol, which is actually a good thing. It's going to start suppressing your natural melatonin production, which is a good thing, which allows your cortisol to go up, because our bodies cycle in hormones. We're in a constant state of ebb and flow of hormones and signals and all these things going throughout our body. And so and we also evolved with the sun. So if we put our bodies in sync with nature, we tend to get more benefits out of it. So not just start in the morning, get your sunlight, also at night, go out for a walk, get some of the moonlight. That'll also hit you with different wavelengths. That'll start to increase your melatonin. And get out in the middle of the day. That's going to hit you with other UV light. So it's just going to hit those photoreceptors that are in every single cell you have, and just let them know, hey, this is what time it is. So get the sunlight. But then, that's the most basic one. If we want to talk about hacking our sleep, I've done some fun ones. Everyone knows magnesium. That's such a common one.
Yeah,
it's really not effective if you're deficient in it. If you're not, I take so much magnesium. I can take a gram of it. It's not going to help me go to sleep. I'll probably have to use the bathroom very violently, but it won't help me sleep.
That's what happened to me the first time I took it. I was like, oh my gosh, I got to go to the bathroom real quick. But that's essentially like a muscle relaxer. Like magnesium helps our muscles relax. Or does it do more than that?
Oh, it's responsible for 600 different enzymatic processes in the body. That's why I take so much of it. But I'll just dive into the fun ones. Yeah. There's this peptide called DCIP, deep sleep inducing peptide, that is interesting because we don't quite know how it works for some people, but about half of all people that take it, it doesn't work for, and the other half it works phenomenally for. It can lower the amount of sleep you need in a day. There are some people that take it and they only sleep for 5 hours a day because it drastically increases their deep sleep. We need to function optimally 1.5 to 2 hours of deep sleep every night. So some people they'll take that, and within 5 hours they've already gotten their 2 hours of deep sleep and their body's just ready to go.
So why is it that we can't do sleep for 2 hours and be in deep sleep? How can we get to that point?
It's all rhythmatically. So deep sleep there's a few things that also disrupt it. Insulin spikes. That's also when we release growth hormone. And I can also talk on peptides for that as well. But our body has phases. Most sleep phases are 90 minutes. So it goes through light sleep, REM sleep, deep sleep, just kind of cycles through that multiple times. They say average amount of cycles someone should go through is 5 to 6 to be in that healthy sweet spot. And then those people that say they don't need as much sleep, and there's some people that just genetically don't need as much sleep. Yeah. They just have one less cycle, which is 90 minutes. So they're just getting more out of their sleep. That's the only reason for it. But deep sleep is so strongly associated with just recovery. So just improving that is super powerful. So DCIP didn't work on me, but the best sleep I've ever gotten in my life is when I was taking the peptides, Ipamorelin and CJC 1295. Ooh. Those are growth hormone secretagogues. So they're my favorite ones. If they weren't so expensive, I'd be on them all the time. Now I'd also cycle off of them, but that was the best sleep I ever get.
How expensive were they?
It's not terrible. What was it? I think for both, it's roughly $200 a month, give or take, 5 weeks.
Okay.
Depending on your sensitivity to it. I was a little bit on the higher dosage, so it'd be like 3 weeks. Other people that are like newer to peptides and stacking it, it'd be a little bit longer just because like you don't need as high of a dose. And again, all goes back to different dosages for everyone. And then there's another peptide called Peptide and Ipamorelin. Those are really powerful and they can reset your circadian rhythm. Peptide is really neat in that it can also decalcify your pineal gland, which happens as we age and if we're exposed to fluoride.
Oh my God. Decalcify your pineal gland and reset your circadian rhythm. This peptide, what is the peptide called?
Peptide.
Peptide? And that's something that you take for like how long to
10
get
days.
the effects? For 10 days. Yeah. And then you get the effects for how long?
Till you need it again.
Yeah,
it's going to be different for everyone. It's not one you take like all the time. It's like, do this dosage maybe once a year, maybe twice a year.
It's just resetting.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Same for Ipamorelin or Ipamorelin. I'll never pronounce that right because everyone pronounces it differently. It can also affect your circadian rhythm, help you get into it longer, but it has a lot more longevity benefits. Like it can increase telomerase, which will lengthen your telomeres, reduce oxidative stress throughout your body. So just help remove oxidants.
Wow. Incredible. So these are peptides. And so for anybody that doesn't know like what peptides are, what essentially is like a peptide?
Scientific nomenclature is there short chain amino acids, typically under 50 amino acids long. But peptides are naturally, most of them are naturally occurring in the human body. And so when we take them, unlike other exogenous compounds, like if you're taking testosterone or anabolics, it kind of turns off your innate system, create them. Peptides are signaling molecules, so they don't turn off anything. They simply stimulate it to do more of it. So the safety profile in them is super powerful, or like the safety profiles. There's very few side effects with it, unless you work with people that have no idea what they're doing and just give you random shit, like the entire Western medicine system and Ozempic, which is partly why I don't work with it. But Ozempic is a peptide.
Oh, okay.
Zepbound, Mounjaro, those are all peptides. Insulin is a peptide. These are all different. These are all peptides, different classifications, but they're all super powerful.
Wow. So those peptides would essentially, they wouldn't like signal, they would sort of shut off the innate system. Like are you saying like insulin and other peptides like that?
They work super powerfully.
All of them. Okay. Gotcha.
And the safety profile on Ozempic is still really great. The problem is doctors are giving out such massive doses. It's not even that the peptide is unsafe. It's taking it for extended periods of time and not eating is unsafe. The actual peptide itself is relatively harmless. Now, there's a few cases of pancreatitis, and that should be checked for because anyone that could develop that, yes, that's a potential issue. Also reversible. The pancreas is pretty remarkable. Western medicine can't do that though. Although I don't want to talk about that, reversing certain diseases, because that'll get me in trouble.
Another episode.
Possibly. That one might get you banned though.
Okay, but we're talking about sleep and how to optimize our sleep, and those are some amazing peptides that can really help us get into deeper sleep, reset our circadian rhythm. We also talked about sunlight and then moonlight, which I think that's cool too, of how to keep our body in that rhythm so we can sleep better, because that's like the number one thing we want to do, right? To make sure we're cognitively and just overall healthy, right? Growth hormone is in there. So that's super cool. So, okay, then the next level, advanced nootropic protocols. And in particular, like for sleep.
I'll send you over a nootropic protocol later.
Okay, cool. Let's just go into some of the best nootropics to optimize sleep as well, because we haven't done that, like advanced, right?
Yes. Well, nootropics are more for brain stimulation, so it's really hard to say like which ones are good for optimizing sleep. I mean, just building sleep pressure. I mean, there are certain ones that can help with sleep, like L-theanine to help if you have any like racing thoughts, anything that you could take tryptophan, which is a precursor to GABA.
It's also in turkey.
Just eat a shit ton of turkey.
Eat turkey before you go to bed.
I mean, I've got so many tips for its actual supplementation. There's not a lot I really like for that. I mean, you can do like low dose melatonin. I've recommended like 300 or 600 micrograms of melatonin. I really don't like larger doses. Now, there's a protocol I have for people that are going throughout time zones. You can do like massive doses of melatonin, like to help reset your circadian rhythm, because that's very fundamental for that. Also, you can every once in a while do like a short protocol of large doses of melatonin, like 20 to 40 milligrams, because it's a very powerful antioxidant as well. So like if you take it and go to sleep, you'll help just clear out your body. But most people that do that don't like the after effects of it. They're just super groggy and irritable for like a day or two. So you can do that. There's some benefits to it. I really don't like melatonin as a long-term sleep supplement.
Yeah.
One of my favorite hacks for sleeping, it's not necessarily a supplement, is raw honey. So this is, I feel like it shouldn't work as well as it does, but it really works, especially for anyone that eats relatively low carb. Raw honey before bed, it helps me get in such a deeper sleep.
Wow.
Which is counterintuitive to how I thought it would work.
Right.
Because increasing your insulin levels by increasing your blood glucose levels typically messes with your sleep, which is why you shouldn't eat too close to bedtime.
Right.
But like a tablespoon of raw honey, it doesn't have a huge insulinogenic effect, and it goes into your liver primarily. It's not really going to go anywhere else. And what that does is, as we have that sleep rest cycle of going through different phases, we have our melatonin that slowly starts to come down, and our cortisol slowly comes up as it gets closer to that time when we wake up. What happens for so many people I've worked with, and they're always have their mind blown when I have them do this, is that they have this issue where they wake up between 2 and 5 in the morning, and they just struggle to go back to sleep. But they can go back to sleep and sleep for another few hours. When they take the raw honey, they no longer wake up at night between 2 and 5. That is a very specific time period, because like I hear that all the time. It's like, I wake up every day at 3, I wake up every day at 2 or 4, and then I struggle to go back to sleep, but I go back to sleep because I'm so tired. It is because as your cortisol starts to go up, so does your insulin. Insulin kind of like goes along with cortisol, because insulin is required for shuttling fuel into all of your cells. And cortisol it's what you wake up. It's what's giving you that norepinephrine and adrenaline spike to do things. So as your insulin goes up, what will happen, especially if you're low carb, is you don't have the blood glucose levels. So then this causes your insulin to take out too much of your glucose, and you're experiencing a hypoglycemic state. So like that you'll really notice this, like if you wake up and you're a little bit panicky as well, like just anxious, you don't know why. Yes, I'm very familiar with this, because like I've done it to myself more times than I'd like to count doing leg day at the gym. You're just like, you feel super queasy, you feel anxious, just like you don't want to do anything, you just like kind of want to die. That's hypoglycemia. Leg day gets me it's got me a few times.
Yeah, and a few others out there for sure. It gets you into a hypoglycemic state. So honey kind of smooths that out and it helps you sleep through that period of time. What are some of I'm just genuinely curious, like what are some of the most amazing story, one of the best stories you've heard of somebody taking health into their hands, maybe that you've worked with or that somebody around you has worked with, and kind of reducing or maybe even flipping, a chronic issue? You've had your own story, but is there anybody you've worked with like that, or anybody at Upgraded Labs?
So many. It's just so mind-blowing. I want to shout out my one client who I worked with for like over a year. I loved her. She was amazing. She was just one of those people that was like so disillusioned with medical system because it failed her so much. She had her gallbladder removed at 19, and she just had all these issues. Doctors the only helpful advice her doctors ever gave her was like, take some digestive enzymes, and that was it. And she had so much chronic issues. She was overweight, she had acne, she had just a ton of health problems due to this, and she was struggling to eat. And then I started working with her, and it was slow going, because again, when you don't have a gallbladder, there's certain things we have to adjust for. Also, this was closer to the beginning of my career when I started working with her, so I wasn't as experienced as I am now. And over the years, we really dialed in her nutrition. We got her eating right, proper supplementation, and she went from being overweight and depressed and feeling overwhelmed with life to she is so much happier now. She's fit. She's doing all these things in life. She's just getting after it. And I've worked with a lot of people. Unfortunately, a lot of them are on the older side, where it's taken years for them to get to this point of I need to fix my health because I'm just tired of living like this. Yeah. I started working with her when she was 23. Holy cow. And just over that course of a year, she felt she has such an impact on her life. It was just and I love that because I was able to help her at such a younger stage, and she saw the impact of having poor health and then going into good health. Yeah. And she was able to find that at such a young age. She's just she's getting after it all the time. I love that I was able to help her and do that with her. I love that. And support her on her journey.
That's fantastic, man. I love that. And that resonates with me because through my coaching practice, it's about, I always say changing the trajectory of your life, and it's the same thing you're talking about is when you change somebody's health like that, the rest of her life is different now. I mean, she could go back into bad habits if she chose, but she has that in place. That's going to change the rest of her life, the fact that she did that with you. I mean, so that's got to feel pretty gratifying.
It was. And especially because it wasn't bad habits. She was trying to do the right things. She was trying to be vegetarian. She was trying to be vegan. She went animal-based. She was trying to do all these things that were healthy so she could feel better.
Yeah.
But she wasn't able to figure it out because it's an overwhelm. Like I was talking about in the beginning, like we are inundated with all of this information. It's overwhelming. And she was not in like a healthy spot. Like her brain wasn't functioning as well as it should have been. Her body wasn't cooperating with her as well as it should have been. But then we were able to get her to that spot. So now she's working out regularly. She's fit and she can handle it. She's not in that overwhelm mode anymore.
Yeah. Wow. What were some of the main changes you made for her? Was it nutrition? Was it sleep? Was it supplements?
For her specifically, there were a couple supplements. Glutamate was super powerful for her because that helped seal some of her leaky gut. I think the biggest change for her was spreading out her meals more often in a day. So your gallbladder stores bile. So without it, you simply don't produce as much bile as you should. And so it's more difficult for you to digest fat. Fat is super important for things. So she was eating like mostly low fat because that's what her doctors told her to do. Again, going back, like I do not like a low fat diet at all. Having her eat more often, like we elevated her fat levels, but she was getting like bloating, she digestive issues. So we got her in the habit of eating like 5 meals a day. And she's still not like a crazy high amount of fat in her diet. It was like 80 to 100 max, but she was able to digest it properly. She was able to get more of her nutrients. And so we did a few other supplements for healing her leaky gut. And so she was able to absorb these nutrients. We fixed some of her nutrient deficiencies.
Wow.
It's just like she was a different person by the end of that year.
Wow. So how important what is the importance of fat in our diet then?
It is everything.
Tell me more.
Our body is composed of two things primarily, protein and fat. Carbs are a fuel source. We can also use fat as a fuel source, but carbs are also a fuel source. Our brain is 50% fat. Like if we go low fat, we shrink our brain. Like that's
wow.
That right there should be enough to tell people don't go low fat. But also it's a precursor to everything else. So saturated fat is essential. We need that in our diet because saturated fat is converted into testosterone, into all of those other hormones.
Saturated fat we can find in coconut oil, a lot in coconut oil.
A little bit.
We can what places can we find that?
My favorite place to find it is in red meat. Now, I do want to specify always grass-fed.
Always grass-fed.
Grass-fed, grass-finished meat because there's different kinds of fatty acids that exist, basically just based on the carbon chains. So grass-fed is primarily stearic acid. Grain-fed, another trash, is primarily mystearic and palmitic acid. Mystearic and palmitic are what are associated with all the negative health outcomes of eating red meat. So that's going to look like increased risk for colorectal cancer, cardiac disease, and the plethora, everything else that scientists are associating with red meat consumption. Stearic acid, which is the primary fatty acid in grass-fed, grass-finished meat, is associated with beneficial or neutral health outcomes in every single research study done on it.
Well, okay, wait a second. So what were those two? What was the first acid and what's the second acid?
So there's two in the first one that's primarily in grain-fed. That's palmitic and mystearic.
Palmitic and mystearic is a type of acid that comes from red meat that's not grass-fed, grass-finished.
Yes.
And therefore has very negative effects on the body.
Correct.
Compared to grass-fed, and then that acid is
stearic acid.
Stearic acid. And that's literally just from the cow, like eating a better diet, eating grass, something better for them than.
So eating healthy animals makes you healthy. I think that's the simplest way to put it. So, and also if you've ever driven by like one of those cattle processing plants,
it looks awful. Yeah.
Well, the worst part is like you smell it before you see it.
Yeah.
It's so atrocious. Like
Greeley, Colorado.
Like those are not healthy animals at all. Like,
yeah, sad.
Like, and so I'm very particular about like where I get my meat from. I wish it wasn't more expensive, but it is. But it is what it is. Like I look for pasture raised and grass fed, grass finished, because again, healthy animal, healthy human.
100%. Okay. So that's the importance of fats and where we can get them and proteins. Wow. How about like just what else do you have for cognitive performance? What other things that excite you about cognitive performance for people out there?
There's so many things. I'll go over the protocol I've been doing that I've been having fun with, and I just hit my limit on it the other day, which was less fun. But I'm doing a modafinil protocol where I'm taking increasing doses of modafinil 3 days a week.
Modafinil.
Yes, it's a pharmaceutical, prescription only, is a wakefulness drug. It is prescribed to Air Force pilots, keep them more awake. It is prescribed for shift workers because the actual term for it is like night shift, something with circadian rhythm. Just it's a weird word. People like that work shift, like different shift works, like doctors and nurses and like odd hours because it keeps you awake. It stimulates orexin in your hypothalamus, which stimulates histamine, which just is kind of like slightly inflammatory. It's just like telling your brain like something's going on, stay awake. So I've been taking like increasingly larger doses of it week over week, and I hit my threshold at 400 milligrams. Now, to be fair, I don't think my threshold was 400 milligrams. I think I messed up and got an IV that had glutamine in it, and glutamine is a precursor to glutamate that can cross the blood-brain barrier, and modafinil works on the glutamate pathways in the brain. So I should not have been taking a massive dose of a strong pharmaceutical compound and then getting an IV of the very neurotransmitter that compound affects. So it gave me a terrible headache, and I did not sleep that night. So, but now I'm tapering back down, and what I'm loving about it is that it has increased my mental stamina drastically. Like everyone else that takes it, it's like, I take it 3-4 days a week because I don't want to like overdo it. Some are even like 5-6 days a week. And you don't really build too much of a tolerance of it too quickly, which is why it's widely prescribed for certain people. But again, I'm taking this protocol, and like I'm still noticing the benefits of it on Sunday. So like I take it Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I'm still noticing it on Sunday. So it is pretty fantastic, like how long the benefits are lasting. And I've only been doing the protocol for 5 weeks now. So it shouldn't be this huge shift that it has been, but it has been massive in my ability to do things mentally.
Wow. Okay. Can you give us an example of like result you've seen?
I mean, my overall productivity is through the roof.
Ridiculous.
Like I said, I was in front of my computer for 14 hours on Wednesday, and I got so much done. Like it was just able to get so much done. And then I read a little bit afterwards, and then I just went to bed. And the next day I got up, didn't take it, and still mental fortitude, just going, reading, doing all the things I have to do, preparing for this interview. I've got another talk coming up.
Yeah. So I think for most people out there that hear like pharmaceutical, they think like, well, watch out. Like that could be something that comes with bad side effects, or what are the side effects? But are you saying that this is a pharmaceutical that you can take in a lower dosage that is beneficial? I mean, obviously it's beneficial, but is there any side effects to that? You just have to like make sure you take the right dosage, or...
So modafinil is typically lumped into the same category as Vinase and Adderall and Ritalin, which are very powerful compounds. Yeah. However, modafinil, I would say, of those is much weaker because it's not as excitatory.
Okay.
It doesn't like give you a ton of energy. You're not just like going to be bouncing off the walls. It's more of like the effects are way less pronounced. It is the main thing I've seen with it is that it allows me to not notice other things when I'm not focused on it. And what I mean is, if you ever heard like task switching, like that concept, like it's difficult to like switch to do one thing to one thing because your brain is like, you're just doing this thing. It's kind of still focused on this thing, or you've got something playing in the background and it's difficult, it's kind of distracting you. Modafinil makes task switching significantly easier because like I'm on this task now. I'm not even thinking about this other task now, like at all. And it kind of cuts out those distractions.
Freaking locked in.
And it's a little bit odd for me because I'm very in tune with how my body is like throughout the day. I know when I'm hungry. I know when I want to get tired. Like I'm very in tune with the signals. It kind of blocked out those signals.
Yeah.
It's like I went a day without eating. I was like, I was supposed to eat today. Why didn't I? And it's like I was hungry, but I wasn't paying attention to that hunger signal. I went to bed that night. I wasn't tired. I still fell right to sleep because like that's when I wanted to go to bed. I went to bed because I've really optimized my sleep.
So if people took that, they need to make sure they're eating, sleeping well. I mean, always, but it sounds like you can kind of bypass that, because that reminds me of like the way Adderall was. Tried it a few times in college, and it was like you're freaking locked in for like 12 hours, no problem. But you didn't even need to eat. You didn't need to drink. Like you never needed to stop. It was incredible. Clearly, that's not healthy. So that worries me a little bit. But you're saying it's not like Adderall, like that intense.
A lot of people actually don't like modafinil
Hmm.
because it's not as powerful as Adderall. People will take modafinil like, I like Adderall more for exactly what you said. It's like you're locked in. It's modafinil just kind of drowns out the distractions. It doesn't like get you super locked in. It's just like, don't worry about the other things.
Okay.
It's a lot gentler.
And you think that's safe to take?
For some people. And again, this protocol, I told several people about it. And they're like, that sounds dangerous. And himself was like, what are you doing? I was telling him about the other day. He's like, that's dangerous, but let me know how it goes.
Dave Asprey, huh?
Yeah. Because he's the one that really started talking about modafinil and bringing it to popularity like years ago. He talks about that all the time. Like, that's what he used to help build multiple businesses. I'm like, well, I'm working on multiple businesses. Let me try it. And then I learned about this protocol, and it was increase your baseline response to histamine in the brain. So I was like, cool, let me try that out. I mean, worst case scenario, I come back off of it. I wasn't going to go to a spot where I'm going to overdose on it. Like, I'm only taking the large dose first thing in the morning, and that's it. Like, it wasn't like throughout the day. It was Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I'm increasing my dosage 100 milligrams, keeping it there. Next week, doing this. Like, I'm following a very structured protocol for it. It's not, and I'm very cognizant of not abusing it. It's like, there were a couple days like where I'm like, I'm really tired today because my sleep was subpar. Having children, your sleep they're the worst thing for your sleep. If you want to optimize your sleep, don't have kids.
That's the number one tip from today.
Kids are terrible for your health. Take nothing else away from this. Kids are terrible for your health. I love them though. So, I had a couple days where I was like, no, I kind of want to take it today. I got some stuff I want to do, but I was like, nope, not doing it.
Yeah.
But I'm cognizant of it. I'm not going to take it on those off days because I'm following a very strict protocol.
Right.
And I'll see how I feel once I'm completely off of it, which should be another like 2 weeks. I'll go like a week or two without taking it and just see where my baseline is. Yeah. See how I'm feeling when I'm not taking this very powerful pharmaceutical.
Yeah. Okay. That sounds very interesting to me. And I'd love to get that protocol. I am very interested. But I think also, like, what are a couple other ones that people could look into or try that they might be interested for cognitive performance? Where
is my list? There are so many. There are some really cool ones. I'm not going to go over the basic ones because other people will talk about that. There's some really cool peptides and other ancillary compounds out there. Let me talk about J147.
That sounds awesome.
So this
J147.
is a curcumin derivative. So curcumin, very powerful anti-inflammatory compounds. Like, people all over just take curcumin because it helps reduce inflammation. This is a very new compound. There's some places you can get it. There's not many. There's a couple. We can get this. It's a derivative of it that is small enough to cross through the blood-brain barrier. So in order to cross through it, it needs to be under 400 kilodaltons, which is just like the molecular weight of a substance so it can pass through it. And so curcumin cannot pass through the blood-brain barrier. J147 can. So when you're taking it, it can go through the blood-brain barrier and reduce neural inflammation and allow for BDNF growth. It can help your body just regrow nerves that have been lost. Just really powerful. And that is one I recommend for people that suffer from brain fog, because brain fog is typically neural inflammation. So you can take this compound and just your brain fog should diminish.
Wow. That's fantastic. J147.
Another fun one is dihexa. This is a peptide. It's one of the few that are orally bioavailable, and the compound it creates in the brain is called, I think it's GDNF. I forget exactly what the G stands for, but it is like 10 times more powerful than BDNF. Now, one of the negative side effects of dihexa is not so much that it has a side effect, but this is just a worry for anything that causes growth, even growth hormone, in that if you have a brain tumor, it can accelerate the growth of it. So dihexa, super powerful at regrowing synapses and gray matter and making your brain just work so much better. But if you have a brain tumor, it can also accelerate growth. However, with that said, we can also reverse the brain tumors. That's another thing. Not getting canceled for that.
Wow, that's significant.
There's another two compounds that I'm really digging. There's one called NSI 189. And also want to preface, like, all these things like have these weird like numbers and letter naming structures because they're so new. There's no marketing to them. Like, no one's been like, oh, let's brand this.
Right.
These compounds were
let's brand it to everybody J147. Like, people are like, what is that?
These are like brand new compounds that didn't exist like 5 years ago.
Wow.
Maybe 6 or 7. NSI 189 has been shown to increase hypertrophy of the brain. It can restore gray matter, which is significantly important for anyone that's ever experienced a concussion, a TBI.
I did in high school.
It can reverse those.
Wow.
That also, there's a certain high-end official right now that has something to do with MAHA that has holes in their brain, and this compound can literally help to regrow it. So someone will get that to him eventually. So it's really powerful. That on top, so that's a fun one. And then compound 7P. I just like the name of it. Compound 7P can help to regrow optic nerves. So it
Eyeballs.
can, yes, restore sight. Now, there's nothing for if you're
God.
completely blind, it's going to restore your vision. There's no Jesus miracles happening, but it's been shown to like if you have like myopia or any degenerative disease of your eyes, or just as you age, it can regrow those optic nerves to help you see better.
Wow. That is incredible. I love that.
Super cool things out there. And then on top of all the compounds, there's this really cool device that I need to play with. I haven't gotten it but I want to. It's called a Q collar. It is used in sports, primarily lacrosse, hockey, football. What it does is it goes around your neck and it places just a little bit of pressure on your jugular vein. So by doing that, it is restricting how much blood can come out of your head. Not like a ton. You're not going to head's not going to explode, but it keeps more blood up there. And coming from my personal training background and help, I was doing a lot of corrective exercise work. Blood flow is life. It's like if you want to heal something faster, bring blood flow to that area.
Yeah.
If you want to heal your brain faster, keep blood flow up there. There are so many conditions that are like neurological that are simply due to like poor circulation. So if you're trying to heal the brain and poor circulation is an issue, there's other things you can take on top of it. But like you take a compound intranasally as well, that'd be fantastic. Like intranasal Nupept. There's another few things that you can do like TB500, BBC that'll pass through the mucosal membrane to help repair the brain as well. But if you have a Q collar on, you're going to help keep all those compounds in your brain for even longer. So you're going to increase that nutrition partitioning, increase the nutrition intake into your brain. So you're filling it with just more life, essentially.
Yeah.
So it's a really cool collar that is not being used for that purpose in any big studies, but it's going to be.
Ahead of the game. Future of biohacking. Wow. I love it. I love it. There's a list of amazing things right there that I am curious about to learn about more. But I want to talk about something a little selfish, but I think people can relate for any like aging parents out there, you know, that maybe you want to help them with their cognitive health that might be significantly declining. What would be some like safe, like basic things that we can get to help our parents, you know, regain their cognition a little bit?
NSI 189, J147, the Q collar to increase the blood flow to there. Low dose tadalafil to increase circulation, because that typically poor circulation is associated with older aging. And then like the brain work, stimulating the brain, again, making sure sleep is on par. As you get a little bit older, typically 60 plus, the growth hormone peptides don't work as well. So you're actually going to just want to get exogenous growth hormone, low dose, typically 1 to 2 IUs.
Okay.
Make sure your hormones are optimized. Testosterone, such a significant player in dopamine production.
Even if it's a woman, you can take
absolutely.
that as well.
Oh, absolutely. Lower dosage, but
Lower
yes.
dosage.
I mean, testosterone, I would say, is like the number one thing you focus on for when you're starting to get cognitive decline. And then, I mean, you can just throw in low dose tadalafil with that for increased circulation. Those two alone will have such a significant impact on energy, brain function, all the things. And then the other things are, if they have a diagnosis of something, you can start to reverse it. But yeah, the first thing I would start with would be exogenous hormones, especially for older humans.
And they can take those like orally, or is it like a shot?
There's multiple methods of it now. Testosterone, especially. I've got a couple clients. I didn't prescribe it. They got it from other doctors. But there's a sublingual testosterone that they're taking. No one likes that one, but it works. They just don't like it because it tastes terrible. You just have to like let it sit under your tongue and it dissolves. One of the side effects of that is like if you do it for really long extended periods of time, it will cause atrophy of your tongue. So typically those are like intermediaries between, if you're women are primarily just going to get the cream. They don't need as much testosterone as men. So men, a cream for men typically is never enough. For women, it's typically fine. Although I will also say healthy ranges for both men and women are significantly higher than what any of the lab work will tell you. Like the reference ranges are bullshit. across the board. For women, you're looking anywhere between 120 and 200, depending on the individual. Again, but even that 120, I believe, is above the high end of reference range for testosterone.
Okay.
And then for men, minimum, if you want to be super healthy, you're probably looking at like 800.
Wow. That's a lot.
It's really not.
In comparison to 120.
Yeah. Oh, in comparison to women, but like in the reference range, that's like the high end of the reference range. Like I think most reference ranges go up to like mid 900s, but like most men do really well over 800. Like our grandparents, like they had this huge test of like all these World War II vets. Almost all of them were over 1,000 testosterone.
Really? Wow.
Like that was just who they were as humans. And now a lot of us are walking around at 300, 400, 500 and being like, oh, why am I unmotivated? Why am I depressed? Why do I have lethargy? Why do I not have the drive to get after the shit I want to? But yeah, like up the testosterone levels.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much for that. Wow. I hope you guys are going to go back through that and get your notes out and write those, write those down, write the benefits down, what you want to dive into, because that was some amazing stuff. Wow. I want to go back through this and just like listen through it and be, okay, which ones am I going to look into more? Make sure you do your research, make sure you look into it. But a lot of this stuff, where can they they're going to need to contact you. I mean, to learn more about it, I guess, where can they?
Best place right now, social media, the Buff Biohacker. I think it's just Buff Biohacker on Instagram. You can email me. I'll send you mine. It's Drayke@getgreathealth.com. So if they want to work on that, or if they just want the Braverman test, I'll send that to them as well. To contact me, social media, email. I have a website, biohackedhealth.com. Whether or not it's up and running when this episode comes out is another story. Going back to the bandwidth topic, I've not had the bandwidth to get into web development.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's a couple ways to get a hold of me.
So Buff Biohacker on Instagram. Email is getgreathealth. What's your email?
Drayke@getgreathealth.com.
Drayke with a Y-K-E at getgreathealth.
Yep.
Cool. And then you also have Facebook. Are you on Facebook too, or is it just
I don't really care for Facebook.
Okay.
I don't like their algorithms.
And then you have more podcasts coming out.
I do.
Soon.
I've got one. I just released the first episode with a friend of mine, Lori. It's called Optimistically Delusional. So
Okay.
fun.
I like that.
As you can see from how I talk, like there's a lot of really cool things that I'm working with and very optimistic. But a lot of people I talk to, like it almost sounds delusional because I'm like, oh, we'll reverse certain diseases. We can deal with cancer. We can deal with all these things. But I'm like, it sounds delusional. But like, I'm here for it.
Yeah.
Let's get after it.
Somebody's got to pave the way. Somebody's got to make their own trail and start something new. It's like somebody's got to be brave enough to do that.
Yes.
Drayke, I always ask this question at the end to all the guests, kind of more of a broader question about your life and to kind of set the podcast conversation off and have fun with it. So I want you to fast forward till the end of your life. First of all, where do you think that's going to be?
I don't know if I can answer that question. I'm pretty confident I've solved for immortality. It's just, how do I get there? Live for another 1,000 years? Okay.
I love that we're stretching our minds like this, by the way. And there might be a lot of people out there that they're like hearing this for the first time. There's going to be some people that are into biohacking that listen to this episode. There's going to be people that have never even like heard of this stuff and they're like, whoa. So I hope they can keep their mind open and like be like, okay, let me just keep my mind open for what might be possible. If I had a healthy, good quality of life to 200 or 180, 200, or like, how cool would that be if you could live a really good life to that point, So I want to like preface that for anybody out there that might be listening for the first time as well.
All right, let's say I'll live to 500. Let's go with that.
All right, so 500. You're 500 years old. You're like, okay, I'm just deciding that I'm going to go now.
I'm done.
I've had enough of this planet Earth. And so you fast forward to that moment and you reflect back on your life and and there's 2 or 3 things that, whether they're philosophies you live by, goals you accomplished, ways of living, that you feel like it is okay to pass away now. Like literally, it's okay to go to the next life, whatever you believe that is. It's okay for me to pass away in peace. I'm at peace with my life and what I did. What would those like 2 or 3 philosophies or ways of living be for Drayke?
I mean, my number one philosophy I live by daily is do hard shit. That's number one philosophy. Is like, and I also want to say, I did talk about the depression. I was waking up or going to bed every night, like not hoping to like wake up, but like because of that, like I also have this weird relationship with death. Like, if I die tomorrow, so be it. I'm not super worried about it. I'm not looking into longevity because I'm scared of dying. I'm looking into it because like it's a really cool problem that I get to solve for. It's the challenge. It's a hard challenge. Do hard shit. But if I can just, I've helped so many people already, and like I want to continue helping people. So like looking back, it's like even if I were to die now, it's like I wouldn't want to do it now just because like I have children. Like 500 years, they'll be grown. Hopefully, I don't think I'm still grown yet, but yeah, I just help as many people as I possibly can. My goal is to just do that. And there's no end point to that. It's like, I've been asked multiple times, I've been in like entrepreneur groups, so I've been in business for a while. It's like, what's your end goal? A business has an end goal. I don't. It's like, there is no end goal. It's not, oh, I'm going to help 1,700 people. And you know what? Fuck the rest. No, I want to help as many people as I possibly can. Whatever number that is, it is what it is. Just
ultimately those numbers would be milestones anyway, especially if you're living to 500. I mean, that's just a baby milestone.
I want to help advance the future of health.
Boom. Advance the future of health. I love that. Me too. I want to do that too. And I want to help people have access to that information. So you got do hard shit. You got, I need to work on my memory, man.
Do hard shit. Help as many people as possible. And just advance the future of health.
The future of health.
Bring the future to now.
Yeah. I love it. I love it, man. Well, Drayke, it's been a pleasure to have you on the Full Potential Living podcast, man. And I look forward to developing a relationship with you and seeing where your excitement takes you. And I can tell you're somebody that is living your full potential. And I really appreciate your curiosity, excitement, and your really like this need to contribute. And I love that you show up with that. And also you're so highly knowledgeable that you've got a lot to give to the world. So I really appreciate you, brother.
Thank you. This was a ton of fun. Thank you so much. Love this.
Absolutely. It's been awesome, man. All right. Thank you guys so much. Remember, as always, live your full potential life. Do not settle. Full potential or nothing. That's it. Peace.
Nice.
Good stuff, dude. Good stuff. So valuable. Oh my gosh.
Do not settle for a life that does not belong to you. Uncover and activate your fullest potential in this lifetime. Live your greatest life experience.
This is the Full Potential Living Podcast with Coach Eric.